If you know someone who would be an incredible guest for the show, so I'd love to hear about them. Just click the link below. And thank you all so much for being a part of this journey. I really appreciate you guys. So welcome to another fantastic episode of Purpose Driven Progress. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Hicks. And today, you guys, I've really got a great guest for you. I've got Yasmine Jean. Her journey through fashion is nothing short of inspiring. From styling clients at Neiman Marcus and Saks Fifth Avenue to working in corporate fashion, she's built a career on uplifting both women and men through style. Her work has even caught the attention of celebrities. Megan Fox has worn her jewelry, and now she's diving deeper into the world of sales and entrepreneurship. Beyond fashion, she's also expanding her expertise in HR, proving that strategic thinking is just as important as creativity. So let's dive into her story. So Yasmine, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. I'm excited to be here.
So, kind of take us back to the beginning. So, as some like my listeners might know, said I kind of came up selling suits. So, I've kind of dabbled a little bit in the fashion world, but how did you get to the point where you were, dressing people like Megan Fox?
I mean, we all go to college and we pick a path. So I went to college and I picked this path to study fashion, to learn more about styling. And obviously, I just didn't jump right into it. I started styling myself and probably almost mid to the end of high school, I started to find my style because I feel like when you're 16, 17 years old, you're a teen and you're finding yourself. So I jumped in. I naturally came, 10 years ago. People were wearing materialistic things. I feel like things are more materialized today. So, 10 years ago, I was just looking through my closet inside myself. So, and obviously people at school and people out picked that up and, they empowered me to become who I am today. So shout out to those people. But yeah, so, when you pick a path, you go to school and you study it. So I wanted to learn more about fashion, the history of fashion, where it came from, even down to makeup, So I went to more of a creative university in San Francisco, California. That's where I lived for about 4.5 years. And that's where I kind of elevated and my evolution grew from. So when now I'm done with school, I graduate college and then I come back to New York. That's when, I have the skill and the experience. I'm well equipped to go into that, world. That school prepares you for whatever. It doesn't just have to be Neiman Marcus and Saks. It prepares you for Netflix, movie styling, all different types. But obviously I went into personal styling because I like to understand my clients on a personal level. It doesn't have to just be a celebrity. It could be a regular person that just wants to, change their style. I feel like we live in a world where people go through evolutions and want to change and want to feel better and want to feel confident. So that's where everything started for me, is obviously picking that career, and then that's how the doors opened.
I love it. So I gotta ask you, for anybody out there listening that maybe, men or women that maybe they're thinking that I want to, change my style up a little bit, or maybe I want to start buying some, some nicer, better fitting clothes. Where should they be starting?
It depends on your budget. Like at the end of the day, you could buy clothes anywhere. You could buy clothes at TJ Maxx, or you could buy clothes at Saks Fifth Avenue. It doesn't have to be Saks or Alexander McQueen. It just depends on your budget and who you are as a person. Like when I work with clients, I never want to switch their style to mine. I'll give them a suggestion, but I still want to hear their output on what they're looking for in their style. And I always tell clients or anyone that comes to me for advice in fashion is start with neutral colors. So to answer your question, again, it just depends on what their budget is. So if it's a vice president of Chase Bank, I naturally kind of know where they could afford their clothes, but sometimes people that work at Chase Bank don't want to spend money on clothes. So I would say go on to start with the lower end and start with neutral colors.
Okay. That's great advice. Well, and I'm also really curious. So as I said, I came up in sales selling suits, did that for a long time. And something that I learned, and I'm curious to see if you agree with it or not, is obviously this is more on the men's side. I'm not sure if it's on the women's side too, but is if you're buying, especially like a suit or formal wear for a guy, it matters much more, at least in my opinion, that it fits well and is tailored well to whatever his body shape might be. And, I mean, the price, I mean, obviously you can buy, nicer materials and better lining and all of that kind of stuff too. But I think investing more in the fit is a little bit better over the long term. I mean, do you think fit is a little more important, or what do you kind of think there?
Fit is so important.
Mm,
I believe in something fit into your body, then something is not looking right and you're going outside and you're looking a mess. So I
yeah.
100% agree on fit because fit is timeless. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And then on top of that, I also agree on taking your clothes to the dry clean. Like
yes.
I spend so much money at the dry cleaners, insane. Obviously, I work in corporate, but also if I want to have my clothes for the next 5 years, whether it's a trench coat, a blazer, or a nice pant, I'll bring it to the dry cleaners. Like I'm wearing my brother's button down or my father. I don't know who's button down one right now, but obviously, if I wear it and it looks crazy, I take it to the dry cleaners. I'll continue to take it to the dry cleaners until I'm 50, and it'll still be the same way. So I agree with you. Fit is super important, and making sure you keep all. If you're spending a lot of money on your clothes, if you're spending $300-$500 on your clothes, bring it to the dry cleaners. That's how it looks. Because I see a
Yes.
lot of people run through clothes within a year, and I think it's ridiculous because you can bring it to the dry cleaners so it could last. If you know you bought something that's quality and it's timeless, bring it to the dry cleaners, and I 150% assure you your clothes will last.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and especially, I mean, if you're buying like anything over, $50, I mean, you're probably talking about like a decent or a little bit better material, I would think.
Yes,
So, I
material.
mean, if it's a better material, I mean, particularly if we're talking like, like true wool or cashmere or like some of these other things like camel hair, you've got to take care of it because if you don't take care of it, it'll show up really quick and you've ruined probably a $500 garment or whatever.
Exactly.
Um, so I love that. I'm really curious though, because you mentioned, both personal and, the professional side of the fashion world. So because they are just so different,
Mhm.
I mean, what have you learned from, working both like on the personal side and on the professional side? And how do you think those experiences have shaped how you approach business?
Um, I feel like on the personal side, it's more creative.
Mm,
And then on the professional side, you have to be more authentic. Because when you're
mm,
on the professional side, especially corporate fashion, you have to, stand up for yourself. You have to express leadership. And that's what I've learned in building my business, being in fashion and also it doesn't have to be just fashion corporate, but corporate period. You have to be some sort of a leader. So
yeah.
what I've learned in the corporate side of how to build a business, what's the requirements, the numbers, um, meeting different people on different levels, maybe higher levels. How can I expand my business? How can I, you know, pull inspiration from them? So for me on the corporate side is super important for me because I am building a business. I'm building a business that eventually will also be corporate because my dream goal is to have 10,000 um, employees working in a warehouse. So
Love
there's
it.
going to be the corporate side. So I have to learn both. Sometimes it's hard because I am a creator and that's where I think I'm more at peace. But when you are a founder of it doesn't have to be just fashion. It could be your podcast. It could be anything. You
Mhm.
have to understand corporate because corporate falls down in the leadership, technically sacrificing. It also
Yeah.
comes down to sacrifice. So that's what I've learned being in corporate is just leadership and, you know, meeting different people in corporate and learning about them and who they are.
I love that. Well, and I mean, I feel like you're touching on a really important point, both in like the fashion world, but also in the business world, is that you have to be versatile, right? Like you can't be kind of one note. Something that I, again, kind of drawing from my own experience selling suits for as long as I did is, a lot of, especially guys, like we don't necessarily want to have, a lot of guys don't want to have a huge wardrobe of, a dozen suits and 50 shirts and all this, all the pants and everything else. So, I mean, I feel like versatility is really, really key. Particularly if, for like the younger folks, maybe are getting like fresh out of school and they're trying to get into that corporate life. I feel like versatility allows your dollar to go much farther because you don't have to buy, like I said, a dozen of whatever the thing is. Are there certain garments for either women or men that you feel like is more versatile that allows you to put more fits and more outfits together?
Yes. Blazers,
Mm.
Blazers are like is my favorite thing. That's how I got into fashion was blazers.
Love
I
it.
was inspired by blazers. I had in high school I had like maybe now I have like over 20 blazers in like probably 10 in like black because I have it in different textures.
Yep.
But in high school I had them. I was like into colors. Obviously I'm much older, so I want to, neutral colors, but blazers and I think a leather jacket. But in the professional world, blazers. Blazers is
Yeah.
super versatile because you could say you have an event after work. You have a blazer on already. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Hmm.
actually I'm like, okay, I could wear that. That's gonna the room is gonna accept you. And I feel like a blazer is powerful. It
Yeah.
powered. So I think a blazer. That's best bet. Or a
I
trench
love
coat,
that.
but obviously you wanna, go into the event and take off not glasses, but your jacket. So you
Yep.
think a blazer is the key. Blazers. So anyone out there, invest in blazers.
Yes, 100% agree. 100% agree because I mean, like you said, like you can dress up a blazer into like a very professional, like have a board meeting or whatever kind of a look, or you can dress it down like, hey, I've got a fun date that we're, going out to a nice restaurant here after this. So I'm going to throw on like a decent pair of jeans and look, just as clean cut and well put together. And if you have one or two blazers, you can put together, I mean, usually a couple of dozen of different looks. Do you feel like there are some like kind of basic, aha moments that people just kind of trip up on where like one that I think of for on the men's side is that men very a lot of times think that they can match a jacket and a pair of slacks, particularly if it's black. They think they can buy them separately and the blacks are going to match and they almost never do. So I mean, do you feel like there's some like, other basic kind of pro tips out there that people get tripped up on a lot?
Mm, I honestly hate matchy matchy. I'm
Mm,
bigger in color blocking, so
yeah,
it depends how confident you are when you're stepping out. Like for me, for example, I went to an event last week. I wore pink pants,
love
a
it.
gray blazer,
Yep.
and the zebra print cream, not cream, I lied, green shoes. So you
Hey,
really have to like make make a statement, But if you're like again, everyone is different. So for example, when you're talking about black now, you could do black with almost anything. So if
hmm,
you want to be on the safer end, all black. If it was a man, depending on remember, men are totally different and have totally different styles. I feel like women are a little bit similar, but men are totally different. So again, it just on the men's side, it just depends on the type of guy, his confidence, what he's looking for, how he wants to look. Is he powerful enough to step out and do the color blocking? So it just all depends. But for me, when it comes to women's wear, I always tell women to shoot for color blocking. You're gonna feel great, like a pink and yellow or a green and black or a yellow and gray. It's just fun to color block. So again, I'm working with a man. It just depends. I am super on the girl side. I
yep.
100% know women's fashion, and I know a little bit about men. I could have fun with them, but it just depends. The men, are they going streetwear or is it a corporate level guy that I'm talking?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the confidence, like you said, is a huge piece of it, I think, where, I mean, it's kind of like that old saying, like, are you wearing the suit or is the suit wearing you? Right.
Exactly.
Um, so something else I've always wondered about, and I wonder if you can shed some light here, is like your personal coloring, right? Like your like the typical colors that work better for you than others. And obviously this is going to be very, dependent on the person, but I mean, how do you kind of work around that and how do people find what colors work better for them than others?
Well, for me or for someone I would be working with.
I mean, if you want, but just like people in general.
I think the easiest color is black.
Mm,
It's black. I don't care if it's summertime. I don't care if it's winter. I don't care if it's fall. Black. Obviously, if you're somewhere in Turks, I wouldn't suggest black. I'll suggest brighter colors. But black is just safer. It's classy. It's powerful. You don't look dirty. You don't look terrible. So I would say black. You know what I'm saying? But
yep.
if you are a colored person, depending on what space you're walking in, again, it just depends. But if you still want to be on a classier end, black, brown, white, gray, cream. Those are safe colors.
Save colors. Love that. That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked a lot about the fashion piece of it. And I mean, a lot of people listening, and like, I mean, I'm probably guilty of this too, is where sometimes fashion can be just viewed as aesthetic, right?
Mhm.
But offline, we were talking about how, styling people well so that they feel that confidence can really uplift people, right? So, I mean, can you share some of the experiences you've had where styling somebody well to where they feel more confident has, changed their life a little bit or changed their outlook?
Yes, I think a lot of people I've worked with, their confidence went from 0 to 100 because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, when you look good, you essentially feel good, right? So
Yeah.
there's or some people go through divorces and they, out with the old, in with the new. So for me, I think I've changed a lot of people's life when it comes to styling them because it's like you're looking at your old self and you're looking at your new self. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So a lot of them probably end up working out more, want to focus on their health, their clothes are getting bigger. So it also has a lot to do with that too, as well, because you could wear an outfit and still not feel good. So
Yeah.
I also tell clients to also focus on their wellness too, just to make sure because there's clients that don't like the way they look in clothes. But again, that's where I step in and make sure that the clothes you have to find clothes that are fit to your body. So a
Sure.
lot of my clients, we focus on what's made for them because essentially there's millions of clothes out there, but not all of them is made for you. So what I focus on is what's made for them. And then I try to add a little more shine and more confidence. For example, like pulling shoes, also jewelry. It's not only shoes, jackets, and dresses, it's jewelry. I am a big jewelry girl, so I sometimes I pull pieces of me and I add it to them a little bit. So
Yeah.
I think jewelry, accessorizing, and hey, when they go out or whatever they got going on, they feel good. I always get the messages, and they always, remind me how great I am of, changing their style. Or I would have never thought of that look.
Yeah.
Yasmin, how'd you do that? Because everyone's different. They dress themselves a certain way, and then when a stylist steps in, they're like, "Oh, I would have never thought of that." Get things like that. Or when it comes to a pricing, they will pull something for $800, and I'll find the same thing for 80. They're like, "Oh my god, I would have never thought to get it from this site." So that's where comes in. I come in breaking down, and it's still the same quality. Just one costs more expensive because you're buying the name, and then the other one is the same thing, but it's just a lesser name or faster fashion.
Sure. So I really love that because I mean it's kind of like again talking about like that confidence piece like you were talking about before, and I mean style and fashion like everything else we can kind of get stuck in a rut, right? Where we've worn the same shirt for the last 5 years or whatever, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but as you go through like your life and you have different chapters develop, I mean sometimes it's fun to kind of splurge a little bit and find some new things to wear. I absolutely that's love. I love that. That's so much fun. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit more about like the Megan Fox piece, right? She's worn your jewelry before, which is incredible. What a huge win. But as we know, like success isn't always linear. Like it's not just a straight line up, right? So what's kind of been some of the bigger like challenges that you've faced in growing your business?
Man, like, I always want to get to the next win,
Mm,
and I'm never in gratitude. I never sit down and be like, oh my God, I did this. Okay, I did this. I want to get to the next win. So like, what's, what has kind of been my challenge is just trying to get to the next level without sitting down and saying thank you.
yeah.
I don't give myself enough flowers, or I don't give myself enough credit where I'm at because I'm not satisfied. So to anyone watching this, I want you to give yourself credit. I want you to be grateful for the opportunities that do come your way because not everyone gets those opportunities. So I've been blessed with so many opportunities, so many people I've teamed up with, but I'm always ready for the next win. And then
Mm,
I drain myself,
oh
burn
yeah.
myself out. So that's been the challenge because I started my company technically in 2020. And ever since then, I've been moving and grooving, moving and grooving, moving and grooving. And I've been super tired. Like lately,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for you for even reaching out to me because that's just God in itself. But, that's why you need to slow down. I need to slow down, so I'm in a place in my life where I'm letting things flow and being grateful and also going back to my wins. So
Yes.
these days I go back to my wins. I go read the articles that people write about. I go back to even to college days and I open up my styling books, my sketchbooks. And obviously, I still haven't really looked at all of them, but I'm like, oh my God, these crappy sketches with all this stuff is what prepared me for all this greatness.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my
So
gosh.
just stay gratitude, stay grateful, and just know that everything you want is going to manifest itself. Seriously.
100%. Well, and I mean, gosh, Yasmin, that was so much gold. I don't want to skip over that because I mean, I feel like you've hit on a lot of really great things. And you're right. It's so easy to, especially if you're building a business or trying to grow something to like, okay, I hit X goal. Now I got to get to the next thing, right? I got to get to the next, way stop on this journey. But taking a moment, and I talk about this a lot, on the podcast where I mean, gratitude, I think is kind of a foundational thing that we just don't acknowledge enough. And gratitude doesn't necessarily have to be like, I mean, it can be exactly like what we were talking about, where, somebody incredible like Megan Fox is, wearing something you created.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also be just like the small things like, hey, I'm so grateful today that I get to wake up and do something that I love. Like some of these, like, I don't want to say smaller things, but things that we can sometimes just take for granted or overlook is huge. And taking a moment to celebrate your wins, big and small, is critical because it's so easy to lose sight of those things. Like you were saying, the fact that you're going back to like some of the things you've done in the past that were a win then and they're a win now because they got you to where you want to go is phenomenal. I love that. So hopefully everybody listening, gratitude and celebrating the wins. I mean, those are two huge takeaways from this
Yeah,
episode.
literally, even at work, if you promoted or
Mm,
you met your numbers for the month, or your director told you you're great today, like that's a win in itself. And
yeah.
I'm now realizing all these things because I'm so super ambitious and I'm super hungry. Like, and I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people, there's a bunch of Yasmins out there, like they're doing the same thing, and I don't give myself enough credit. And that's just like, ooh, it makes you sad a little bit because I'm like, oh, I did all this, and I'm now looking, you know,
Yeah.
everybody else is seeing all of this and they're reading the articles, but you haven't read them. You know what I'm saying? I haven't read a lot of my articles, have not at all. I just posted them, but I have not read them. So please read your own articles, read your win, take care of yourself. I'm in the wellness phase of my life now.
I love that. I love that. Everybody out there, read the articles that people are writing. They want you to know. So we were talking a little bit earlier, like I think in the intro about HR and it's like some strategic moves that you're kind of making now. So, I mean, as we've talked a lot about fashion and like just some of the things that people need to be aware of in the fashion world, right? So, what's drawn you to kind of the world of HR, and how do you see that kind of complementing or informing your business moving forward?
Oh, so I told myself, Yasmin, if you're gonna get another job, because I'm starting to get a little tired of fashion. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm,
Like I love it because I do it all the time. It's a part of my identity. So I'm like, okay, this is always gonna be with you. So
yeah.
let's try something different. I'm already a people's person. I love helping people. I love changing people's lives. I love giving opportunity.
Mm,
What is next for me? But what can benefit my business? So I said, okay, HR recruitment, like why not? So I started to apply for a lot of HR recruitment, jobs, and I
mm-hmm.
got one. So obviously I got into, I've always been kind of in healthcare, but I can say I'm multifaceted now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I got into, so I'm a non-clinical recruiter right now. I work obviously in HR. So,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do work as a recruiter because it'll benefit my business. So just now when I have 10,000 people working with me, I know what to do. I know how to screen. I know how to find the best candidate. I know how to look at a resume, make sure they have the skills. And I look like for me now, like when I'm having interactions with my candidate, it's like we're friends, like you have to have, when you're interviewing, you kind of have to have a personality. You have to be bubbly, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to be too bubbly now, but you got to be interactive, and it has to be in alignment as well, because you can have all the skills in the world but you don't have the personality. So how can I trust to hire you to work with someone or a company? So I got into recruitment mainly also for background check, making
Oh,
sure
sure.
you have the right person working within your company. There's no, I wouldn't judge criminal background, but again, you would have to tell me the truth, because I do hire people that have criminal cases, but as long as you tell me the truth, there's always second chances. So
Yeah.
I feel like that would go hand in hand with what I'm doing right now, because down the line, if I have to train someone or, help my team, I'm able to pour my hand in that pot, you know.
Absolutely. I love it when we're talking about skill stacking, right? Like it's figuring out, hey, maybe I've got a little bit of a gap in HR where I don't have as much, knowledge or experience as I would like. So seeking that out. I mean, the opportunities are there, right? So a quick side question here is if there's anybody out there listening that is maybe looking to, they're looking to hire maybe their first employee or their 100th employee or whatever the case might be. Are there any tips or things you've come across in your experience so far that you're like, hey, make sure you look out for this, or something you would encourage them on?
Um, the tips would be, answer that question again. I want to make sure I'm answering your question correctly.
Well, I'm just wondering if there's any quick tips or just insights that you've gained from your time in HR and recruitment that you feel like you're going to take into your business and that you would recommend to other folks too.
Um, if you're gonna go into HR, if that's your question, understand that you are essentially changing someone's life.
Mm,
There's people that I've hired that can't pay their phone bill, can't celebrate their daughter's birthday, can't do a lot because they don't have money. So when you're
yeah.
when you're in recruitment, you're a recruiter, you're technically finding the best candidate. And obviously I'm a big empath, so I do look at their resume, but I also listen to their situation, because not
Mm,
everyone's going to tell you their personal situation. So essentially in recruitment, you are changing someone's life. Obviously, you need to hire the best candidate for the clients that you're working with. So for me, just know that you're doing a great job. When, understand that your job, you're a leader. You're a leader in the world.
hmm
That's what I mean. So I feel like, again, just find the best person that has the right skill, that has the personality, that understands the job, and, have some empathy. That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
Yeah, oh, man, that's another gold nugget. Like, have empathy. That's a in
Have,
recruitment and everything else. I mean, empathy is huge.
yeah.
So, I mean, in this episode, we've really covered kind of the breadth. We've covered, all a bunch of fashion tips. We've also covered some HR stuff and great insights there. So, Yasmin, as you look into 2025, got 3/4 of the year left. So, what are some of the big things on the horizon for you?
Right now, I collaborated with a skincare brand called
Mm,
Define Age. They're based out in LA, and they're only dermatology. You find it over the counter, very
okay.
exclusive. And I feel like they were in alignment with me, because I'm right now in a space where, again, entrepreneur drained me out. I want to focus on my wellness and skin. So right now I'm focused on brand collaboration, you
Okay.
know, that align with me, that their company aligns with my company. And we're just collaborating and, again, letting things flow, because sometimes we're hard on ourselves, but the opportunity is coming. The email is coming.
Yep.
That DM
Yeah.
is coming. So yeah, collaborations and sales. I told you that. I wanna build my sales, and travel to different, countries, so they could know Zulette, because I want my brand, my fashion brand, to go global. So obviously, me being a stylist, my whole focus right now is my fashion brand, but obviously I'm the personal brand, so we'll go hand in hand.
I love that, man. That's exciting stuff for 2025. So if anybody out there listening, wants to get in contact with you or find out more about you, where can they find you?
They could find me on Style by Yasmine Jean. They could find me on Yasmine in Your Closet. And they could find my fashion brand, Zulette Laurent. And I think Style by Yasmine Jean and Zulette Laurent is on Google. So it's really not hard to find me. You could even type my name. My name's going to be there too. And if you can find me on LinkedIn as well, if you want to, stay on a professional tip as well.
Yeah, that's great. Well, also I'll make sure to include all those great tips and everything in the show notes so people can find you just super easy. But Yasmine, thank you again for coming on the show. This has been fantastic.
Thank you for inviting me on your show, Jacob. And I want your, podcast to grow. So I'm here to support anything you do. I'm here to collaborate with you as well. And yeah.
I love it. That's I got to tell you, that's music to my ears. Anybody listening? Well, Yasmine, thank you again. Anybody listening, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.